so many people are qualifying for Motability and getting cars for free. Here's what Kemi Badenoch has to say.
The Motability Scheme is a perfect example of what's going wrong with the current system. It was initially set up to help disabled people get around. Now 90% of its cars now have no adaptations whatsoever. That's not what it was designed for. People are qualifying with conditions like drug misuse, ADHD, obesity. The assessment system surely can't have been designed with that intention, and we cannot allow it to continue for a moment longer.
Yes, and after some of the stories that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, it's been quite ridiculous, hasn't it? Because it's very obvious that people are getting cars under false pretences. Let's talk to Lana Hempsall, Conservative councillor for Norfolk. Lana, very good morning to you.
Good morning, hello.
Hello. It seems incredible, doesn't it, that people have been able to manipulate the system. I mean, we've got Glenn from Leeds there saying he can't claim benefits even though he's got no ability to go to work, his Achilles tendon's gone, he's going to wait 2 years to get to work. And then we hear other stories about somebody with acne or some kind of food problem or obesity getting a free car.
That is true, because the Motability Scheme, which was set up in 1978 with admirable intentions, is now, so qualifying for the Motability Scheme is now predicated on being eligible for the mobility component of PIP. And once you are eligible for that, you can apply to the Motability Scheme for one of the vehicles.
Yes. But the trouble is, there's 1 in 5 of these cars now being sold. I think 1 in 5 new cars being sold around the economy every single year are Motability cars. It's a massive business, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. And actually, it's 1 in 5 in England, and it goes up to almost 50% in Northern Ireland. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And the car industry will be relying on this for the sale of their new cars quite heavily.
Yeah. Is it not the case that we are now far too reliant just on benefits and on help? I mean, there's a piece on the front of the Times today in which it says that Labour's going to crack down on sick note Britain, basically, because so many people now just take time off work because they can get a sick note from a doctor without even having to see them. I mean, have we got a problem with people who just don't want to work in this country?
The fundamental issue with Motability is the fact that we have cast the net for eligibility for benefits, especially PIP, far too widely. So once upon a time, you had to have a physical disability in order to get the mobility component. Right. And back in the mid-teens, in the last decade, we managed to get to a point where parity was achieved between mental health and physical health. But instead of parity in terms of treatment and how we get people better with mental health, we simply gave them parity of welfare. And once you do that, you find yourself in a position now in 2025 when you are telling people who have anxiety, depression, dyslexia, ADHD, that they qualify for the same mobility support as somebody who is an amputee. You know, veterans, war veterans, people with multiple sclerosis, etc. So people who have a physically demonstrable condition have the same eligibility as somebody with anxiety. And that's where it's gone too far.
And that's where it's gone too far. So how do you get out of that? How do you reverse that then? You just have to be harsh on it, don't you?
Oh, right. So here is where I thought that Rachel Reeves and Liz Kendall and the Labour Party were going to grasp the nettle with the welfare reform. And you probably noticed, as is everybody else, that one of the first things that happened under the threat of the Labour rebellion is that PIP got taken out of the bill altogether and is now going to be subject to the Timms report. Yawn. Because, you know, by the time that report comes back, Labour will completely lose any appetite for welfare reform, because they'll be facing another general election and won't want to make people who rely on these benefits angry and not vote for them.
Right. Because so it's all very performative, isn't it? Like an awful lot of what Labour says, they say something and then they don't do it. They just say it.
It seems to be. You know, they set out the welfare reform bill as how it was going to really help disabled people into work. That was one of the reasons I've started, you know, my own personal campaign. That's why I wrote about the Motability Scheme in The Spectator, is that I've lived with a visual impairment since I was 15.
Yeah.
And the barriers to work that I've experienced have been horrendous, to the point that I run my own businesses. That's the only way that I can genuinely economically participate, because discrimination and bias when it comes to job interviews is a real thing. So I was really hoping that Liz Kendall was going to make some real positive steps in making sure that people with disabilities could be economically active in a really positive way.
Yes, well, that would be great if only it could be true. Let's try and make it happen anyway. Lana, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. We've got to run. Lana Hempsall there, Conservative councillor for Norfolk, talking about how ridiculous the whole Motability Scheme is for people who shouldn't be getting cars, people who shouldn't even be getting benefits, who are getting those benefits.